Hi guys, it's Isis. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be drawing myself in a parallel dimension. This is Jeydah the Elf, assassin, and her familiar, the miffin, miniature griffin, Reese.
She stood and held up 3 flat throwing knives, spanned in one hand. Rhys the miffin flew in a soft feathered flapping flurry from the bookcase to perch on her shoulder. His owlish eyes glared and his wings spread wide, an effect that would have been intimidating had he not opened his pink beak and cried out an adorable "Reep." I wrote a series called The Dragon's Bane Inn. It's a series of novellas. Her character Jeydah is a Trow elf.
Assassin. Jeydah's kind of a combination between Arwen from Lord of the Rings and Wonder Woman, and
A little bit.
who's bitchy.
You. No. Yeah, the character's you. It's her. It's her in the book.
I start with a composite picture in Photoshop of me and my cat. I found a Etsy website with this woman who does these awesome little creatures. So I took some of her creatures and did a composite shot with my cat. And I start drawing with a hard pencil. I get all my facial features first. That is always the hardest thing to draw, is somebody's face, because there's so many little tiny variables that need to be added or not added to make it look like a particular person. And if like the nose or the eyes or the mouth is slightly off, people will not see them in the portrait. So yeah, drawing portraits, it's the hardest part. Like once you get the face done, the rest is pretty much smooth sailing by comparison. And I start with the flesh colored pastel stick and start adding all the tones and shading. When I'm done with that, I use a soft charcoal pencil to fill in where my eyebrows need to be. Then I use the same soft charcoal pencil to add my dark eyes in, leaving white spots in the center where the reflection of the eyes would naturally be. Okay. And finish the eyes with a variety of different charcoal colors. I tend to wear slightly purplish eyeshadow, so I use my lavender charcoal pencil to shade and highlight my eyes the way I would with my eyeshadow on my actual face. Then I use white and black charcoal pencils and sticks to add the highlights and shadows on my face. I draw my big nose, fill it in. My husband looked at the drawing originally and said that my nose looked too big, but it didn't. It actually looked exactly as it is. I made it as big as it normally is. It just looked big because I hadn't yet contoured it. So then I went back in and contoured it with charcoal, the way I contour it with my contour kit for my makeup, and then it looked smaller. But it's just little things like that. If you're drawing somebody's face, you want to keep it as honest as possible, even if it's a feature that they don't like. Like I don't particularly like my big nose, but I left it in there because if I made it smaller, I don't think it would look like me.
Jeydah had heard enough. Throwing her order slate to the floor with a slap, she strode to the arguing men. "Go on, Master Wallingtalk," she interjected. "Don't try to negotiate with these coal bungs. They're squeezing you in a protection racket, and they know it. Miss, this is a private negotiation between your proprietor and the Protectors Guild. I don't know who you think you are, but who I am, you great blighted buckethead, is someone who's fed up with you swaggering chestmogs, waving your big wooden stocks around like you're ready to pock the whole rot-pocking polis." Her anger coursed through her, making her lips flap like banners in a firestorm. "I'm someone," she raged on, "who's been fighting for justice since you were a drop of sparge in your mama's honey pot. I'm your competition." The staveman laughed uproariously. "Sir," said the guardsman, wiping his eyes, "you're free of course to hire independent security if you want, but I should warn you the Protectors Guild standards are— Wait, what in the abysses?" His quarterstaff wiggled in his hands as though coming to life. Staring perplexedly, he shifted his grip as it twisted and writhed. Then all at once it snapped backwards into his crotch, breaking his codpiece with a resounding crack. He fell to his knees. Jeydah snapped out of her trance, pulling her awareness back from the staff, but keeping her woodcraft powers at ready in case the other guards tried anything.
And there's my cat. Who wants to be a part of it? He's come to inspect and make sure that it's okay. All right, that's it. You gotta get down. Okay. And as you can see, now it kind of looks like an actual face. It looks three-dimensional because of all the shadows and highlights. I've added, and then this is the second day and the camera angle is way off. I'm covering it way too much. My apologies, guys. I used the flesh colored charcoal stick to add in my collarbone and then shade it and contour with the light and dark pencils and sticks. Now it's time to add the corset, the purple corset, and go ahead and fill in the area that I want the material to be with a purple charcoal stick. Unfortunately, this is not the color that I want. The actual corset is a little bit more of a blue tone to the purple, so I add blue to the corset and smudge it in until I get the shade of purple that I want. Then I use white and black charcoal to add folds in the material as it bends and creases, as all material and clothes do as we wear it. Then I use a black soft charcoal pencil to add all the twill details into the corset. And I use my white charcoal pencils to add all the metal openings where the cord is going to be pulled through and really highlight them with the white so it looks like shiny metal. And I go ahead and draw in the black cord, highlight it with white.
I'm disappointed that you took my plate without asking if I wanted it wrapped up. Jeydah had asked the woman if she were done with her meal, and the patron had responded by turning a page in a book she was reading and making a shooing away gesture with her free hand. "I'm sorry, miss," said Jeydah, her smile starting to feel more like bared teeth. "I did ask if you were done. I guess I misunderstood your response. You did no such thing. I suppose I could be remembering it wrong. I suppose so. I'd like my entree taken off my bill, please." "What? The whole meal? That was brush pheasant and tesmet beans. Most expensive dish on the menu. Walling Talk will fire me for sure." "I don't think the proprietor will let me do that." "Excuse me?" "Well, there was barely anything left on your plate, and you're new here, aren't you?" "Yes, but..." From there the woman explained as though to a child how she'd worked as a purveyor for restaurants for 30 years and knew more about the industry than Jeydah probably ever would. She listed nearly a dozen things the elf should have included in her steps of service, half of which Jeydah had actually done, and the other half the former assassin couldn't imagine barmaids at the Dragon's Bane Inn doing for all the silver in the Freelands. She can't expect me to put her napkin on her lap in the middle of a rush like we just had, and what in the abyss is a fucking table crummer? At any rate, you really should know what you're doing before you start waiting on people. I'm sure it's the same with, what was it you did before? Jeydah would have loved nothing more than to tell the condescending patroness about her work for the gardeners, but decided it wouldn't be worth the risk while she was on probation. "I had my own woodcraft shop on Artisan Way," she said instead. "Well, if you ran your business as lackadaisically as you serve your tables, I can see why you're where you are now." "Where? Getting a quarter-cup lecture on food service because I threw out 3 bites of cold pheasant?" The words were out of Jeydah's mouth before she could take them back, but she was past caring. "I told you it was more than just the leftover pheasant, which at any rate was going to be my lunch tomorrow. I told you quality service is..." I'm sorry, your lunch?" Something snapped in Jeydah. "It was 3 bites, she yelled. "I can see you're in need of some drastic dieting, but there's still a big damn difference between lunch and 3 pocking bites." The woman froze, mouth open, eyes wide as a deer scenting a lion. "You're making a big mistake talking to me like that. I know the owners of this place. I'm gonna talk to your proprietor right now and tell him what? How your life is so pathetic. Tell him that you've not only ruined my experience tonight, you have to lecture barmaids about their jobs when you've clearly never lifted a tray in your life. But tomorrow as well. They know me. They know I like eating half my meal here and the other half. Half? Are you fucking delusional? Jeydah cast about until she spotted her section's bust crate. Deep inside her, a primal voice howled in triumph. There, atop the pile of dirty plates, was the oaken bowl containing the remnants of the woman's pheasant. Swift as a striking serpent, she rushed to the crate, grabbed the bowl, and slammed it onto the table in front of her guest's incredulous face. There it is! 3 bites, see? 1, 2, 3. That's if your great bovine cold don't accidentally inhale it in your sleep.
Okay, now it's time to start the miffin. Because the paper is white, I go ahead and I add a little bit of a beige and brown outline where I want his body to be, just so I can draw white on top of that, because if I just draw white charcoal on top of white paper, it's not going to look textured. So yeah, I filled it in with like a tan color, and now I can add all the white fluffy fur and feathers, and it'll actually look like white fluffy fur, because now it's white on tan and it's supposed to white on the white paper. And I go ahead and add the orange to my baby's fur, because he is a white and orange cat. So I add all the little distinctive features where his orange goes and make his tail orange, but it has the little poof ball tail at the end because he is a miniature griffin. And that's how the girl in the Etsy store made her little miniature griffins look. They had this big pom-pom poof tail. I was torn about how to do the feet because, you know, my cat has such round paws, and I wasn't really going to look like Reese to me if he had bird feet. I didn't want to give him bird feet, and I was torn because the Etsy girl has like almost human-like hands on her little miniature griffins. I found pictures of snowy white owls on the internet, and they have very fluffy white front feet with black sharp claws. So that was like the perfect mixture because it still looked like it could be almost cat feet. This was the closest to bird-like feet while still keeping it sort of cat-like as well. So yeah, the feet of a snowy white owl they were perfect for my little miffin.
Jeydah rubbed 2 fingers on the side of the creature's feathery face. "He's cute," said Trina, as she looked at the creature with apprehension. Rhys was a miffin, or miniature griffin, bred down by the beast dealers at Gripper's stables. He had an owl's head and talons with white fluffy feathers, turning to downy white fur with orange splotches as it covered feline hindquarters. Trina was at a loss. Should she treat it like a cat or a bird?
Alright, I do the face last because I was the most worried about this. It's like, how do I make it look like almost a bird but still look like my Reese? So I go ahead and I add his face until I get it to look almost exactly like his face. And once it did look like Reese, part of me didn't want to change it. I wanted to keep it and have it still be Reese, but there's too many incidents of Adam mentioning that Reese the miffin has a pink little beak, so he has to have a beak in order for it to be true to the story. So I might actually do another charcoal of my baby as he actually appears in real life. Once I get the face done, I take the cat eyes that are more like slits and make them round, and then put a darker outline around them and make them more owlish. So he still has the distinctive orange features around the eyes, and then I pull down the pink nose until it looks more like a beak than a nose. And then the ears, Reese has very, very orange ears. So I use the image of a great horned owl and make the ears that kind of just flop to the side. Okay, now it is done, but now I'm very disappointed because I didn't plan a background out at all. And there's just way too much white here for this to look good. It needs something in the background. It's just white and boring. So I decide that I am going to put a brick wall behind Jeydah. And I go ahead and do another composite picture of how and where I want the brick wall to look, like she's standing in a doorway and it kind of frames her. And then I do a brown door behind Reese the miffin, and then it's done. And then I finish it, and I can't stand it because the sword is now blending into the brick wall, and this looks god-awful terrible, and I'm just really, really annoyed. So then I try smudging in the wall and to make the sword stand out, but that doesn't work, so they're still the same color. So then I do something really stupid and get paint out and try to make it look like paint so the sword has a reflection, and then it's just god-awful. So then I friggin' want to tear up the whole thing, and I'm really pissed off. And then I sit down and like play solitaire on my computer for like an hour, aggressively stabbing the cards with my fingers in an angry artist rage. And then I get up and realize, okay, this whole section has to be cut off. So I grab the ruler and the knife and I just slice this goddamn arm right off, just, and then. Oh, yeah, that's better. Okay, now it's more like a portrait. And the Dragon's Bane Inn is in a land called Angelwood that is very soul-sucky and kind of makes you feel like you're dissolving into the background because the environment is strong and it's dysfunctional, so this charcoaly background of us dissolving into the background looks good. And then I kind of had to make Reese kitten size the way he was as a kitten, because you can see in real life he does not fit on my shoulder. He's a big 10-pound cat.
Reese, no! Cried Jeydah as she snatched the creature out of the planter. That was so bad. What a bad miffin you are. Oh, so squishy though. Squish squish. Yes, so amazingly, wonderfully squishy. My books are The Dragon's Bane Inn. There are a series of novellas available on Amazon. Links are below in the description at adamburkewriter.com.
Thank you for watching. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Bye.